Welcome back to this week's edition of The Walkthrough, where we check off the week's most trending topics in your real estate industry. I am Byron Lazine, and I am thrilled to be back in the co-host seat after Danny Deals completely destroyed this seat the last 2 weeks. We've got Eric Simon, the broke agent, as my co-host, and two of my favorite people in the industry. We have Shannon Gillette. Is this the first time on The Walkthrough, Shannon?
First time, yeah. Thank you for having me.
First time on The Walkthrough. Shannon leads the her team, one of the top 15 teams in the Phoenix East Valley region, the Gillette Group. Shannon is a knowledge agent in the industry, an Instagram phenom. Shannon, welcome to The Walkthrough. We have Dustin Brohm joining us once again here on The Walkthrough as a recurring co-host or guest moderator. Dustin is the Massive Agent with the Massive Agent podcast. If you haven't checked that out, you must. Exclusively here on the BAM
It's
Network.
a massive disaster is what it is.
Yeah,
Dustin
total train wreck.
is also located in Salt Lake, Utah. So that is the lineup today. I just want to mention Danny Deals, nice trying to Venmo people last week's show to vote you into this seat. By the way, in the comments, does Dan have the worst background you've ever seen in the history of online shows? I mean, he's got this blue wall that looks like what'd you hire? A couple of college kids? Did you and Dave?
He said he finger painted it himself. By the way, Byron, 2.3 thousand views on that last walkthrough.
Yeah,
I think that might have been one of our best walkthroughs yet. So you got to give Danny Deals credit for that.
Hit the thumbs up. Let's get the algo juicing. If you like me back in the pilot seat here. I mean, Dan has these two bright lights.
Of course,
shining.
you're going to attack him immediately.
He has two bright lights shining on his wall. Like, I don't know if he can see that, if Dave can see that, if they mean to do that. But I love you, Dan. Just get your background fixed, and you'll come back.
Great job, Dan. Highest rated walkthrough yet. Good work.
All right, let's get into topic number one. The Airbnb bust is upon us. This tweet hints that Airbnb is falling, but is it right? This is an Inman article. We'll put it into the show notes as we always do. That was, Eric, great headline on this tweet, right? The Airbnb bust is upon us from
Incredible.
Texas runner DFW. It reached over 8,000 shares, hundreds of thousands of engagement at this point. We could put I don't know, Haley, can we put the tweet up? I don't know if Haley has a tweet. If she doesn't have it, I'm going to read it out anyways. Has anyone seen a huge difference in bookings over the last 3 to 4 months? We went from at least 50% occupancy to literally 0% in the last 2 months. I'm just curious if this is something only going on with my property or if other people are seeing similar things. I am in Palm Springs, where you located. And then from there, and this was a screenshot from like what looked like a Facebook group for Airbnb hosts. So then it was tweeted out with this screenshot, and it's called Airbnb Superhost. So a lot of reactions on Twitter from people who use Airbnb to Airbnb hosts. Shannon, start with you. Your reaction to this tweet. Is this a real problem in the Airbnb world?
I definitely think so. I mean, here in Phoenix, the Phoenix area, we have a lot of Airbnbs. I hear from my clients that have Airbnbs that their numbers of bookings are down. And hearing from people that just maybe because everything is so much more expensive, they may not have the budget to travel as much as they'd like to, especially if they're buying a home right now with the 7% interest rates. A lot of that extra money is going to their mortgage payment. We're also seeing just the rental market as a whole in Phoenix became very slow.
Dustin, is it more, Shannon saying bookings are down? Are they down? Are you seeing that in Salt Lake or other markets that you might be familiar with? And is it more on the Airbnb owner? Is it more on supply and demand? What's your take?
Yeah, there's a lot to this, so I read the Inman article at length because I'm like, wait a minute, when are they going to talk about how many Airbnbs are available to book? Supply matters in the conversation. And it wasn't until the end that they mentioned that the supply has gone way up too. So overall hosts have seen fewer bookings on average, but that's because the supply has gone through the roof and hasn't kept up with the demand. Personally, right now, my horrible background is an Airbnb. I've been living here for 4 freaking months while waiting to move into our new house, which happens this weekend, thank God.
Wow.
But I've been getting a masterclass on Airbnbs and just the bullshit you deal with. I have my own beefs with Airbnb, but
now when you say your beef with Airbnb, does that mean the owner of the house or Airbnb?
The owner of the house, the host.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the host.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
have beefs with Airbnb, the company?
Not at all.
Okay. So the host beefs. Let's blast the host. What's going on there?
Oh, let's blast you, Vince. So Vince decided to put the cheapest possible stuff in the house. Like literally, you go and like probably went to the dollar store to get silverware. He found a blender. I don't know how he found a blender. It probably cost $2.50. But when you're living in a place for a few days or a week, you may not use that stuff. When you're literally living with your family for 4 months, you notice all this stuff. So we're like, wait, he's literally put the cheapest crap in here, but it's marketed as a luxury condo, luxury condo with luxury finishes. There are no luxury finishes. So my beef is with how it's marketed. And there's this propensity for hosts to put the cheapest crap in there. And then they wonder why they're getting bad reviews and people blow up online like this because they have shitty experiences. When you fill the place with shit, people are going to have shitty experiences. You don't need Ethan Allen. You don't need restoration hardware stuff, but you need stuff that actually works, like pots and pans. And so that's my beef with this particular situation. As far as the tweet goes, I think it's just, I don't really see a whole lot to it other than people saw an opportunity to bitch and complain.
Yeah. This person has an Airbnb in Palm Springs. That's one of the most seasonality specific spots you could possibly have. They had less bookings in September and August. Shocker. It's 190 degrees in Palm Springs. You step outside and literally you melt. So I know it's really fun right now. It's a trend on TikTok to talk about all of the horrible things that happen at your Airbnb where you have to clean the dishes. You have to make the bed. You have to, cook a 3-course meal. You have to do everything for the owner, right? These are the jokes going around. Yeah. And that's really fun to talk about and fun to joke around about it. But if you get into the article, the actual statistics say their Q2 was the highest amount of bookings they've ever had, right? Yeah. So
guess the man to Eric's point on Airbnb was as high as ever in Q2, and Airbnb significantly outperformed the rest of the travel industry. This is according to a spokesperson from Airbnb.
And it's up over 11% since 2019. So into the actual numbers, they're not seeing a massive decrease in bookings. But yeah, of course, as the economy crashes in stocks and crypto and everything, people don't have this exposable income to just go around and travel and be in these Airbnbs as much. And supply is going to jump up because people want to rent out their place to get more income. So there's going to be a supply issue there.
And Eric, I'm not sure which number you're referencing on the 11%.
Made it up.
Okay. But September 2019 compared to this September. So we were just talking about Q2. And some people will say, well, since Q2 ended, which would have been obviously the end of June, the economy has changed dramatically and interest rates are a bit higher and people have less money and all this kind of stuff. But when they look at just September 2019 levels to September 2022, it's actually up 26.6%. So Airbnb as a company is doing quite well, right? So there's the distinction of Airbnb, the brand, the company, they're continuing on this massive growth trajectory that's outpacing travel. Airbnb, the host, Airbnb, the individual host, might not be doing well. Everybody rushed to I'm going to go do the next shiny penny. I'm going to become an Airbnb host. I'm going to go become a real estate investor and an Airbnb host at the same time. Yet I've never run a business. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to make decisions. I don't know how to manage. I don't know how to make people feel special, right? I know how to put on a high fee for cleaning because that's what everybody else is doing. I know how to be a commodity because I'm just copying everybody else, but I don't know how to stand out. I think we've all stayed at Airbnbs where we're like, ooh, to Dustin's point, this isn't hitting on the marketing that I saw. This isn't hitting on the messaging that I thought, this isn't the reality that I thought I was going to be stepping into. I've also stepped into Airbnbs in Napa Valley. I'm thinking of one that I went to in Napa a few years ago, where they left a lot of, little nice treats when you walk, a couple bottles of wine. They also had a garden in the back and allowed you to pick from the garden. And they had a nice outdoor kitchen area where you could cook. Those were nice. I expected some of those things. I didn't expect the wine. I expected the garden. They hit on all my expectations. And I've walked into Airbnbs where I'm like, I'll do anything to go to a Motel 8 right now, which is why I typically don't book Airbnbs unless they're super luxury.
Right.
Like I need to pay the high premium to be able to go to an Airbnb. Because when people are like, oh, let's save money and stay in an Airbnb together, I'm like, count me out. I'll go to, I'll use my Bonvoy points. I'm going to stay somewhere nice down the road. You guys
Byron's
go do
at
the
the
thing.
Ritz.
Yeah, I'll be at the Ritz. You guys go do your thing.
You guys go share a bathroom at some
can't stay at the Ritz
Airbnb
anymore, Eric. It's 2022. It's time
That's
to
right.
cut the corners. Dustin, I'm curious because you were that's not what you did. Staying till your house is ready is non-traditional. Most people are staying in Airbnb maybe for 3 days, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, 4 months. You don't have the opportunity through Airbnb to go look at it before you get there. Am I right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So
that is something that really sucks, but I understand it too. I understand why they don't do that, because that would create a cluster. But if somebody's doing a long-term booking, I think they should absolutely have access.
Yeah. So there might be a feature there for Airbnb to consider for people that are doing over a month, 2 months, 3 months. You were already local, so you potentially could have gone and done a walkthrough on the property before you went and actually committed to it. It's interesting. In the comments, have you ever had a Vince situation like Dustin talked about? Have you ever just went in there and it's just all cheap crap? Have you ever been in that situation before? I'm actually, for the first time, going to have an Airbnb that I own. So I sold my Connecticut house, bought a new one. I'm turning the new one into an Airbnb. So all the stuff that I had in my previous house, not to your point, Dustin, I don't have the cheap crap. I got the nice stuff. All right. I got the good stuff. It's all going into my new house. So I'm like, when my wife and I were going through it, and it's like, oh, this is now all going to be Airbnb stuff. I'm like, man, I feel like this is going to be, you never go to an Airbnb that was like 4 forks and you got 5 people. You're like, okay, I guess we're sharing a fork. I mean, we have an abundance of stuff. I'm like, this is going to be the most fully stocked Airbnb with nice stuff because we don't need any of it down here in Naples. And
that's how you get great reviews. That's how you get people wanting to stay there.
And I think that's my overall point, is that if you want in a market where there's high supply, if you want demand on your product, you better make it special. You better go above and beyond. Just having a location isn't enough. I bet you if we walked through this one in Palm Springs, it just would be potentially average.
Oh, the Palm Springs Airbnbs are a nightmare. I went to my friend's 30th in Palm Springs, and some of these are just Coachella drug houses, basically, where they have like cots, and the pictures make them look like these epic party houses, but they were built in like the 60s, and everything is just so low quality. It's awful. I also had an Airbnb experience where I went to Canada to visit Leonetti to film some stuff. There was no toilet paper or shampoo in the Airbnb. So you get off this long flight, there's nothing there. It's insane. So we literally had to go from dinner and go to the grocery store and pick up like all of our toiletries. So I feel like everyone has one Airbnb experience that almost makes them never want to go back to Airbnb again.
Yeah. Hotels are so much better.
Yeah.
I know what to expect. Even if it's a Spring Hill Suites from Marriott, I know what to expect. I know I'm getting 2 bottles of water, right? And I know if I flash a little smile to the receptionist, I can get 2 more bottles of water. At the
Splash
front desk.
a smile? I've never heard that
flash.
term used before.
Did I say
flash? You said
splash.
splash. Yeah, that was
I like to splash
odd.
my smiles.
Yeah.
Flash them. All right. So Airbnb is going nowhere as a company. The punchline is there are definitely hosts going out of business as an Airbnb host because they don't recognize the market, how much supply is in the market. They're not doing anything special for the end user in their market, and they don't know how to run a business. They're a part-timer. They're a part-time entrepreneur who thinks, hey, there was a run before everybody was a mover on Airbnb. Could you capitalize? Absolutely. Now when things are getting competitive, do you have the business chops to actually make an income on your Airbnb?
The punchline is, in Palm Springs in August, you're going to have less bookings than you do in March because it's 120 degrees. That's where that tweet came from.
Shannon, is this good information on, okay, here's what's going on. Airbnb is doing quite well, but some hosts are losing when you get approached by a new investor who says, I want to buy my first Airbnb. Is this valuable information for an agent to say, hey, here's what's happening, and you need to stand out today if you're going to buy an Airbnb?
Yeah, it comes down to supply and demand. We are oversaturated with Airbnbs in Phoenix, so you really have to look at that, and you have to be different, just like in anything, even, realtors these days, you have to be different. You have to stand out.
Yeah, great point. The oversupply of agents is getting exposed as we speak. One way not to get exposed is to make sure you've got the knowledge. Make sure that you are the knowledge broker. Hit the link below, trykcm.com/BAM to make sure that you're standing out. If you don't have the time to get the information that you need to overeducate your clients, your database, allow KCM to do that. You can try it for free. Try kcm.com/BAM. They bring the walkthrough to you every single week. And we're going to flash a KCM chart in just a second here as we dive into topic number 2. S&P Case-Shiller just came out with a report for August this past week. CNBC reports home prices cooled at a record pace in August, referencing that Case-Shiller report. So home prices are still higher than they were a year ago, but gains are shrinking at the fastest pace on record, according to S&P Case-Shiller. Prices in August were 13% higher nationally compared to August 2021. So when you look at August, the value of homes in your market was likely double digits higher than the value of those homes last August. Sounds great, but that's down 15.6% annual gain from the previous month. July, 15.6% annual gain. Now, this year or this month that they're referencing, August, only 13% higher gain. Doesn't sound like a huge difference, but it's a 2.6% difference in those monthly comparisons, which happens to be the largest in the history of the index, which was launched in 1987, Dustin. This means that price gains are decelerating at a record pace. Your takeaway on that?
It's a little surprising. I mean, we all feel this slowdown. Everyone does. To hear that it's just slightly slowed the growth, by what 2.5% ish. That doesn't sound like a lot, but you're right. To then hear historically that's the biggest reduction ever is telling. It shows me that stats they're just numbers that can be manipulated. They can be interpreted in different ways. So it's important to have context and dive deeper into what the hell they even mean. Because if you just read a headline about that stat, you could completely walk away thinking, oh, like we're fine, totally fine, just slightly less appreciation this year than last. But that's not really the case. So that's my takeaway.
To your point, you're absolutely right. Like 2.6% doesn't seem alarming. When you hear it's the largest gap month to month since 1987, it means that there is significant downward pressure on the real estate industry. The Fed said as much just a month ago. The numbers now are showing you that this pressure is large. It is bearing down on price appreciation, the acceleration of those prices. Let's go to the KCM chart, then we'll get Shannon's take. This chart here shows the depreciation forecast for 2023. So we're acknowledging with Case-Shiller that, hey, it is slowing, but home values are still going up. The projections for 2023 are still favoring appreciation. Okay, there's still more analysts forecasting appreciation, whether it's 5 to 10%. You can see there, 20 analysts say, okay, yeah, 5 to 10% appreciation in 2023. 28 analysts say 3 to 5% appreciation. 17 analysts say 1 to 3% appreciation. If you go to depreciation, the numbers aren't as big, 6, 5, 5, right? Only 2 analysts think we'll have greater than 10% appreciation as a forecast in 2023. Dustin's point, numbers, you can manipulate them any way you want, but overwhelmingly, analysts say we'll still continue to see appreciation, just not at these double-digit numbers that we've seen the last couple of years. Shannon, a buyer comes to you and doesn't want to buy because they want to wait till the market changes. I want to see how things are going to shake out. What's your advice to that buyer?
Yeah, so we definitely get that a lot. I think it's very market specific. If I just read an article that said the top 3 most cooled off housing markets are Phoenix, Arizona, Austin, Texas, and Boise, Idaho. And I sell in Phoenix. We have listings right now where the sellers bought last year and they will have to pay out of pocket to sell their home. I had a listing I went to 2 months ago. It was worth 1.2 million. Today, they'd be lucky if they got 975. We're seeing sellers lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in value because Phoenix is more affected than most markets. So I'm telling buyers right now, like, take advantage of this opportunity. You can get such a great deal. Right now in Phoenix, in my market, we're seeing about 70% of closings with seller paid closing costs. So it is very normal for the seller to buy your interest rate down. So it's all about educating the consumer on the tools they have, the lock and shop options where they can lock in their interest rate for 90 days, the buy downs, that type of thing. And I tell my clients, don't be scared to send an offer. I mean, I just closed a home $75,000 under the appraised value. So now's the time for just great opportunity.
It always seems to happen first in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Well, Phoenix was such a booming market to move to during the pandemic also, for political reasons, for open, like, you want to get out of big cities, go from LA to Phoenix. Like, it just made sense. You can get more bang for your buck. It's great weather and there was less restrictions. So those 3 markets specifically during the pandemic saw a massive rise in people moving to those areas. So it makes sense that those would depreciate the fastest as well, right? Right?
Yeah.
It would make
Did what
sense,
I say
Eric.
make sense?
I mean, you made great. It makes sense to me, Eric.
That makes sense to you, Dustin?
Nailed it.
You
dude.
were cross-eyed while I was talking right there.
You made me cross-eyed.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Yes,
A stroke of genius.
Going back to, you know, the Airbnb conversation, the supply and demand. There's a lot of supply in Phoenix. Am I right, Shannon?
Yeah, inventory levels are very high, but a seller can still sell their home as long as they hire the right realtor and they price their home well. So it's all about educating both sellers and buyers right now. We're just trying to go all out with content, with reels, and just get the word out there that who you hire matters, and buyers and sellers care more than ever right now who their realtor is. And we are very honest with our sellers on what their home should be listed at. And sometimes we're not getting the listing, and then we see the agent down the street list the home for $100,000 higher than we suggested, never sells. So days on market are definitely ticking up in Phoenix, and just great opportunities for buyers right now. I'm just really excited about the market shift.
Days on market is our next topic. So let's go right into it. Great segue, Shannon. Time on market has doubled since the spring. This is a BAM article, which we'll link up below, with mortgage rates at a 20-year high. Imagine that, mortgage rates being a 20-year high, and inflation driving up other costs. The time on market for homes has doubled since the spring. This is a new Redfin report showing pending home sales and new listings that are both experiencing their steepest year-over-year decline since the beginning of the pandemic. Now, let's be honest here. Most markets, let us know in the comments what you're experiencing in your market. Most markets are still under 6 months of inventory in their market, which would be, a seller's market by definition. Under 6 months of inventory is a seller's market, but it's just like the downward pressure on pricing because of inflation, interest rates. This downward pressure on days on market is happening. It is starting to accelerate up. Shannon, what is because you're saying, hey, we're getting hit harder here in Phoenix. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you coming on talking about the Phoenix market, because it's an indicator for what might be next in your market.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, What do you see for, where are you at on inventory in terms of the 6-month barometer? Are you above or below that? And is
Yeah,
it price range specific for you guys?
So in Phoenix, it's the suburbs. Like I'm in this East Valley. We've definitely transitioned to a buyer's market where I'm at right now. So
you're above 6 months of inventory by definition?
Well, I mean, the experts are saying we're in a buyer's market, like depending on the city. So we do have, over 20,000 listings right now, which is up a lot from where we were just a few months ago. And I think what's more important than ever right now, what I'm telling my team is we are running a fresh analysis on our listings that are sitting on the market every week. And we have to tell sellers, hey, what we listed your home at 2 weeks ago, your home may not be worth that anymore, because as these comps are closing for under market value, things like that, it's all about price, making sure your home's priced right. And we're telling our sellers it's not uncommon for your home to only get 1 showing a week. Some listings are getting 1 to 2 showings a month, because sellers are like, where are all the people? It's just definitely slowed down, but you can still sell your home if you hire the right agent and you price your home well.
How important is the conversation, pre-listing now, getting back to talking about what days on market does to the price that you ultimately accept when you sell your house?
It is just so important. And we're not even really looking at what closed last month, like what's on the market sitting and pricing below that. And it's so hard for sellers to take that, right? Like, man, my home was worth $100,000 more 2 months ago. But, and if they want to start high, we basically tell them like, let's try it out for a week. But we need to reduce fast, because the market is going down in Phoenix. Hopefully things change. But if somebody wants to sell for top dollar, they really need to sell right now before we get into the slowest time of the year, the holiday season.
Redfin economist said that with rates sitting above 6.5% for 3 weeks and no indication that they'll come down before the end of the year, people are only buying and selling homes if they need to. Agents, brokers, team leaders absolutely understand this to be gospel. People are only going to buy and sell if they need to. The 5 Ds: death, divorce, diploma, diapers, and diamonds. Those are the 5 Ds. Those are why people buy. That's what it's going to be about in 2023. Are you into one of those categories? Okay. Do you have a need to move? Eric, he's in the diamond category. He's getting married next year. He keeps talking about, I got to get out of my apartment.
I'm coming to Phoenix. Shannon, right? I'm coming to Phoenix. I'm going to join you.
He might get a deal.
And use you as our realtor.
Good.
Eric needs to be in a big city. He may, he's marrying a big shot attorney. He may need to get into Phoenix, right? And he may want to capitalize on that deal. But ultimately, these are the reasons that drive motivation to buy. The COVID motivation is gone. Okay. The last 2 years, that motivation, which was a little looser, that's all gone. Dustin, what are you talking to agents about doing right now to be able to be not only the agent of choice, but to get the price of choice to avoid a days on market scenario?
Well, now it actually takes skill and some knowledge and some expertise to sell a house.
Damn it.
I'm sorry. It's rough, but there was a long time. There were years where agents could just throw a sign up in the yard, put it on the MLS, and it would sell for $50K over asking. And there's a lot of agents, I'd say most, got in the industry since 2009, 2010. I got in 2011, so I've seen it shift upwards, and they don't know what to do, because they never developed any marketing skills to sell a listing. They don't have any real negotiating skills. They've been spoiled by great market conditions. And if they were lucky enough to get the listing, they knew it was just sold. It was done. And that's not the case anymore. I think this is a very healthy thing. And I was talking with my team and my coaching group earlier today and yesterday. They're saying, yeah, we're having fewer conversations, but all the conversations are with more serious buyers. Like there's less tire kickers. Everyone who's participating really wants to or needs to, which I got to be honest, were people just buying homes for fun? Like, were they just moving for fun before? I don't understand this. Moving sucks.
Well, listen, in 2004, 5, 6, 7, people were buying homes for fun then. In 2020, 2021, a little bit of 2022, people were buying homes for my lifestyle. I'm going to
Yes.
work from home forever.
Good point.
Me. I'm making the rules now. I'm taking control. And now what's happening? They're getting slapped in the mouth.
Yeah, you're right. But here's the deal. There's still homes selling all over the place. There's two sides to every transaction. And I personally, like, I keep telling agents this: interest rates are absolutely a factor, obviously, but not for everybody, because there's still people buying homes. There's still people that will pay a little bit more to have more space, or to be in a better neighborhood, or to have their kids in better schools.
Absolutely.
The reason I'm in this Airbnb for 4 months is I bought a house back in May at 8.5% on a bank statement loan. 8.5. Okay. At the time, everyone's like, you're an idiot. Well, it was because I wanted to take a bunch of reductions on my deductions on my taxes, and it would save me more than the extra interest I'd pay. But now that's not even looking that bad. We're going to refinance at some point, but we did that knowing, this interest rate is astronomical, diabolical, as you might say. But you know what else was? Staying in that shitty little house with our 2 kids in that horrible neighborhood. So we were willing to pay extra regardless of the interest rate to get into a better environment, bigger house, nicer. And there's a lot of people out there like that.
I'm one of them,
right?
You and I have had this discussion. I've got, a great house here in Naples. Having 2 kids that by the day continue, 2 little beautiful girls that get a little bit louder, a little bit more every 24 hours that goes by, they think that they've got a little bit more power over me and over my wife. And I could see them trying to stage this takeover in my house,
a coup at the Lazine residence, an insurrection, if you will.
They absolutely are planning and scheming one of these. One day they think they're going to topple me. I'm telling you right now, girls, it's not going to happen. Okay. It's not going to happen in my house.
You actually look at it like that is the funny thing.
And so, I need a bigger house. I need to build a moat around my brain and their craziness. And so I'm in that diaper stage. They're not necessarily in diapers, but the analogy of I've got kids, I need more space. And so despite the fact that it's an expensive time to buy, I'm buying anyways. I'm taking my great deal that I have now. I'm going to turn that into an asset. I'm going to turn that into a long-term rental in Naples. But right there with you, Dustin, I'm biting the bullet knowing this is my next 15, 18, 20 year house. That's going to set me up with a great in-home studio, all the things I need for my lifestyle. See, people buy and sell for their reasons, not yours. For their reasons, the buyer's reasons, not for the agent's reasons. So as agents, we need to recognize that they're buying for their reasons. Now, unfortunately, the last 2 years, to my point, people are buying for their lifestyle. They might have bought for the wrong reason. Now we need to be there for them and help them understand what their options are. Maybe it is they're in a market where they can long-term rent that if it's not the right house for them and they now have to move back closer to work or whatever. Or what are the options? Do I sell now? Do I wait for next year? Where can I get the most money if I do have to take a loss? How's it going to look? We need to be there for them in this time of need, because ultimately they're making decisions for their reasons. They may just not have made the right one the last 2 years, but you do see a theme here with all these topics, even going back to Airbnb. If you're not great at what you do, if you're not a great Airbnb host, if you're not a great agent, if you're not a great whatever it is that you do, the easy market of 2020, 2021 is gone. It's leveling up time. That's what it's going to take in everything, in every industry. We know that deals are down, things are changing. Even with Zillow, the great partners are going to be the ones that they continue to work with.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Date the rate, marry the house, right?
Do
Byron?
not give that advice out. Okay, please.
I am being sarcastic for the listeners. Don't worry, Byron. No one's going to hear that and just start saying that.
Dude, here's where we can go with it. I actually think that that's great advice with proper context. Context.
What's the proper context? Because you actually mentioned you were going to do this eventually your refi. The proper context is, can you afford it at the current payment for the next 30 years if you had to? The proper context is also, are you a savvy, sophisticated person when it comes to your finances, when it comes to your real estate investing. Dustin, you happen to be one of those. So you saying it doesn't scare me when you say, oh yeah, I'll just refinance later. It scares the hell out of me when some first-time homeowner says, I'll just refinance in a couple of years. Dude, a couple of years, it could be 11. I don't know. I'm not saying it will. I just don't know.
Yeah. The concept, I think, is gold, and the spirit of it is spot on. It's just, it's so poorly executed by agents because they're not giving context that, hey, if you can't really afford that in today's rates, what if they don't go down? What if rates don't go down? Now, I still think it's good advice, because if rates don't go down, I mean, thank God they got in now, right? Instead of when it is 12% or whatever. So agents need to not be so flippant and say, oh, just refinance. Well, that may not be an option when they need it to be. So as long as you're telling people, hey, if the rate drops, then this is an option to reduce your monthly payment, but they need to be secure with it now. Otherwise, you're setting them up for failure.
We're going to talk about some Instagram changes here in just a second on the final topic. And we've got some great social media marketing minds on the panel here. So we'll jump into it here. But I just want to say this to wrap this up, and tie off your little topic here, Dustin. What you say on social really, really matters right now. Just saying, date the rate, marry the house, because you heard some other agents say it, is not a good social strategy. And I talked to two different groups of agents today. I talked to my new agents, and then I talked to another team in another state on a little session with them. And I asked both groups of agents the same question. I said, everybody just scream out what the median sale price for single family homes in your market is right now. Say it right now. And each time only one person had it. And then the second group, it was like, wait a minute. No, isn't it this? Like they started, isn't it this? I said, listen, guys, all 20 of you, all 50 of you, all however many of you should have been in unison within 1 second, been able to articulate the median sale price in your market. If you're an agent, drop in the comments your market, what the median sale price is. You should have it within a second. It's the most basic stat in your market.
Ask me, Byron.
If you don't know that, what the hell are you doing? I'll tell you what you're doing. You don't know what the hell you're doing. So how are you running around on IG saying, date the rate, marry the house, and you can't even tell somebody what the freaking median sale price is in your market? That's a basic stat. That's knowing 1 + 1.
Yeah. When you regurgitate something you heard from somebody else, and you not only are you not giving the context, but you don't know it, that's dangerous. And that's just not cool. So.
No.
Although, Dustin, I would like to see a video of you saying, date the rate, marry the house, and then actually explain that exact thing. Because right now you have every single agent saying, don't say date the rate, marry the house. There's been like 500 replicated videos of these, of everybody saying, no, that's the worst statement ever. So now
there was a whole bunch of them saying, yeah, there was a whole bunch of them saying it. And then there was a whole bunch like mine saying, don't say it. Shannon, what side of that are you on?
I totally agree, because one thing I'm concerned about is even if the rates go down, who's to say you can refinance? What if somebody loses their job or the values go down? You're not guaranteed an approval on a refinance. So it is very dangerous, but I agree with Dustin, like just explaining it to the client. And that's why it's so important to be building your brand on social, to be the trusted advisor, because everyone is really scared right now what's going on, and they need an agent they can trust and that knows what they're doing.
Yeah, listen, it's time to be real serious about what you do, to make the decision to be ultra serious. These are serious times. It takes serious actions. It takes a serious commitment. And it's also going to take a really well-defined plan on social. There's some big changes. Eric, why don't you walk us through what they are?
Yeah, speaking of serious, Instagram might add audio to profiles. This is a Mashable article. And what's crazy is I just got this new iPhone Pro, by the way.
Wow.
New iPhone right here. So
fancy. Did you send me one?
Why the hell would I send you one? No.
It's a great flex.
It's a BAM company phone. Once we start having two phones, that's when you know that we've actually made it. I was in the Apple store. Of course you do. Checking out, And the ladies checking me out were talking about how cool it would be to add a song to your profile. So this is something that Instagram is testing. They haven't even rolled it out to a few profiles yet, but they're going to basically, it's going to be at the bottom of your profile, and it could be a song that's playing as you're scrolling through someone's content, which similar to MySpace in 2005 and Raya, the dating app, I believe in this Mashable article, you could do that. You could kind of choose what song it is while people are looking through your profiles. I don't know how that's going to work now because there's so much video and reels now that, you know, that song will have to not play the second you start actually scrolling through someone's profile. But I think it's kind of interesting. It's kind of fun to think like, what song can I possibly choose that defines me and my business? So that will be like a fun like content piece for agents to think about. But it kind of seems like Instagram is just throwing shit against the wall, seeing what sticks, because they're all over the place and TikTok is just dominating them right now. So they're like, oh, let's reach back to some 2005 nostalgia and have, you know, Dangerous by Cardinal Official playing in my profile. So I wanted to ask you guys, if you had to choose a song for your profile, what would it be?
Ooh. What's your WWE entrance song?
A walk-up song?
Yeah, your walk-up song, basically.
Oh, God.
Dustin, what do you got? Is it
I'm waiting for Shannon
Welcome
to
to
answer.
the Jungle?
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
that's what I
buying
was going to say,
time.
Byron. That
Wait.
for Dustin, 100%.
What'd you say, Byron?
Welcome to the Jungle?
Seems
sure,
like
yeah.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
I'm thinking something hip-hop. I don't know. Push and
Right.
P.
I'm
I
thinking
remember MySpace. I had a song.
What was it?
It was, you know, that crazy song by I don't even know who sings it. But I remember my song from MySpace
What,
and
Crazy Rap
yeah.
by Afro Man?
I don't know. I mean, it was a long time ago,
Oh,
but I
Crazy by
remember
Gnarls
that,
Barkley.
like going
That's what
to
you're saying.
people's MySpace and hearing their song, and you know.
Yeah.
But Instagram's funny.
Yeah. What about
I
you,
was never
Byron?
on MySpace.
Byron, you can't even name a song, I bet.
Well, I would say for me, the last song that I played at my wedding over 10 years ago, if I always have to pick a favorite song, it still remains this, would be Juicy by Biggie Smalls, because he disses his teachers. You know, I think in the first part of the song, you know,
Yeah.
all the teachers that doubted me type of thing. And so I just love that line. I love to stick it to my grade school teachers anytime I get the chance. And
That's
so
a
just,
great song. I know every
Yeah,
word.
it is.
to
oh
it.
yeah.
Good.
Just playing that song reminds me of my high school teachers who doubted me. And anytime I get a chance to bring that up, stick it to them, I get enjoyment and fulfillment out of that.
That's awesome.
Dustin's would be Thunderstruck or Welcome
Yeah.
to the Jungle or
Welcome
some
to the
sort
Jungle.
of, yeah.
You wearing that shirt that almost got him banned from BAM 2 weeks into. At least you're wearing the Massive Agent shirt today.
Yeah.
Dustin.
Which shirt are you referring to, Byron? Which one?
I mean, you
the
had that
Lions-
illegal T-shirt on.
The super patriotic T-shirt?
Yeah.
I mean, if you had a partnership with Adidas, they would have canceled you immediately.
Yes. Is this the Friends Forever shirt?
Yeah, Friends Forever shirt.
Yeah.
My song
It's
would
an
be
engagement
Lollipop.
hack.
Lollipop by
Lollipop.
Lil Wayne. That was my go-to jam junior year of high school. So I think that would represent. But you kind of have to think from an agent perspective. You need something that like represents your brand. So you almost need like a luxury kind of tune that it would be like as if someone's walking through your open house. But
Ooh,
I
go
doubt
Sinatra then.
Sinatra, exactly. Sinatra would be cool. I doubt Instagram will actually roll out this feature, but it brings us to kind of the next topic where Zuckerberg actually admits that he was wrong about the way people consume social media. So there's an interview or just quotes from him on a CNBC article where he says, like, I did not foresee this algorithm change coming where people actually want to consume content that is discovery content and that is fed to them from creators and influencers that aren't the people you directly follow. And he said, I completely missed this. And this is not really in the bones, in the DNA of Instagram, even though they're kind of shifting to this, and that TikTok is a viable competitor. So I thought that was really interesting. As they've been spending time renaming their company Meta, they just got some new $1,500 like goggle product they're coming out with. Nobody cares about this stuff right now. Like they went into the metaverse and they should have been focused on what is TikTok doing right now, because people want to go there and not here.
Yeah, you just said it, Eric. Zuckerberg referred to TikTok as, quote, very effective competitor. Let me translate that into English for everyone. TikTok is kicking our ass, our meaning Meta's, and they are. You can have faster growth on every single platform that you have if you're creating content on TikTok. You want to grow faster on IG, you want to grow faster on YouTube, make sure you're putting out TikTok content. Make sure you're learning the nuances of how to speak to that algorithm. You want to get seen by a wider audience, get on TikTok. They've got the attention. And yeah, it'll, if you go all in on anything this winter, Q1 of 23, I'd encourage you to make TikTok front of that strategy.
Absolutely. I mean, everyone's
Shannon.
already doing the content that works there. You know, if you're doing Instagram content, why wouldn't you also put it on TikTok? It works in both places.
I agree. Yeah, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and IG, and we could go on for that. Shannon, final thoughts as we wrap up this walkthrough.
I think final thoughts are agents have to go all in on content that builds a brand that can be trusted. You can't just post dancing videos because the buyers, the consumers, they're very skeptical of the industry right now. They want to find somebody that they can trust. So I would ask yourself, when you go to post something, does this come across as a trusted resource, somebody that knows what they're talking about? But you also have to also share your personality as well, and building in like that personal brand, interview the mayor, you know, do whatever you can to be that agent of choice and go all in. And if you don't have the budget for content or marketing, join a team. You know, that's a trend right now where top solo agents are joining teams. Teams are merging. You can't just take the holidays off. You have to work harder than ever right now. And that's who will rise to the top.
Shannon, you said something very brilliant in there, and you kind of just brushed over it. Teams are merging. Okay. I talked about this on the Real Word podcast this week. If you're somebody right now who doesn't have over 12 months of operating expenses, whether you're a solo agent, a team, or a brokerage, you don't have over 12 months of cash to run your business, your butt better be running to the biggest competitor in your market and talking about how can I fit into your thing? I'm running out of cash. That's what the big companies are doing. It's why Zillow is laying off. It's why Open Doors strategically aligning with Zillow. It's why people are making moves right now. You should be thinking about the same way for your business. That's a great point, Shannon. We can go real deep on that at some point. I think I'd love to do that because you really hit something there that I think can help a lot of agents who just think come January to be a new year, things are going to change. Dustin, your final takeaway.
Yeah, Byron, until I saw your short or your reel from your show the other day talking about the teams merging, I don't think I even consciously thought about that working or that happening. And then I'm like, wait a minute, they're businesses merge all the time. Why can't a real estate team business merge with another one? And I think it underlines a point that there's so many agents, I'd say most, do not consider themselves to be running a business. Mm-hmm. They don't think of themselves as an entrepreneur. They sure as hell don't act like it. And therefore they're getting paid like it's a hobby. They're getting paid like it's a job. And so those who are really going to do well and thrive during this separation season that's just starting, they're going to be the business owners, the business minds, the entrepreneurs who think like it and act like it. And every agent has the opportunity to do that themselves just by looking at what they do on a daily basis and what they are a little bit differently and making better decisions, more strategic moves, being a little smarter with your cash, making investments, of course, but smarter ones. I mean, there's just a huge opportunity to separate from others. And, you know, it starts with thinking about yourself as a business rather than just someone who runs your own job.
This will come off as harsh, what I'm about to say, but it's reality. There's also some agents on the other side who actually think they're a business operator and they're not. And they should give that up to somebody else and merge their great skills and assets that they possess with someone who can make the decisions on the business. Eric, final thoughts?
I'll finish it off with some stats, actually, Byron.
7.9%
of listings had price drops, and the average home is now selling for 1% less than asking price. This was also included in that Redfin report. So we might have to change the Over Ask podcast to Under Ask if this trend develops. We built an entire brand around the seller's market. And now if that is dissipating, then we might have to do a content shift. So let us know in the comments if we should switch our title from Over Ask to Under Ask. And then also let us know what your Instagram handle audio would be if someone visited your profile. We got some, basically we didn't get any answers here.
None.
No one said anything. I said Lollipop by Lil Wayne.
No,
That's the
I
only
said
answer.
Juicy.
You got Juicy.
I said
you
Juicy.
got Juicy.
Yeah,
and I think, Shannon, you meant Crazy by Gnarls Barkley. I think that's
It's a good song. Yeah.
It's a great song. Okay. So that's great. That would be good for Realtor. And Dustin's.
I'll go with Massive from Drake.
Okay.
How about
yeah, for the Massive Agent. That's just on brand. By the way, when you put your song into the comments, put your IG handle so we can get connected. If you want to connect with Shannon, she's Shannon_Gillette on Instagram. The Massive Agent is at Massive Agent. Eric's at The Broke Agent. And I am at Byron Lazine. Make sure you are subscribed to this YouTube channel. If you're listening on audio, love for you to consider a review. And we'll see you next week on The Walkthrough.